Hi guys, welcome back. So today I am going to be doing a bit of a Q&A type of video, or like a tag video. I don't know, I just kind of wanted a bookish, I guess, type of tag to do, and so I'm not gonna lie, just kind of googled it and I found one that I like. So that is what I'm going to be doing in today's video. So the name of the tag is the A to Z Bookish Questions, I think is what it's called. Yeah, so it's tag A to Z Bookish Questions. Okay, I had it right. But so I'm just going to be going through and answering the questions and just kind of giving you my opinions and the answers to those questions. So let's get started. Okay. So to start off, the first question is the author you've read the most books from. And hands down, without a doubt, I know that it is the amazing author duo of Christina Lauren. And I know I've talked about them, and I think my past videos, the only two videos I have, I've talked about them. But yeah, so Christina Lauren, for anyone who doesn't know, they are a writing duo that actually got started writing fan fiction on Wattpad. Shout out to all the true homies who know what Wattpad is and read insane amounts of fan fiction on them. Yeah, so I have read every single book of theirs, like minus their young adult stuff. I think they have like 2 or 3 books that are YA, but all of their adult books I have read multiple times. Like, I don't even want to know how many times I have read the Beautiful Bastard series in particular, the Wild Seasons series. I mean, they're all great, but I have reread these books so frequently. And I think out of the Beautiful Bastard series, I've read Beautiful Player the most, because this is my favorite one. Will is my favorite guy out of the 3, or I guess not 3. There's Niall and Jensen, but like the main like 3 pals. Will is my favorite, so I've reread this one so many times. And then of their kind of like standalone books, I would say Love in Other Words has been the one that I've reread the most. This is overall my favorite book by them, just because of the whole story, the characters. I just thought it was insanely beautiful. I laughed, I cried. Oh, it makes my heart warm and happy, and it's beautiful. I love this book by them. But yeah, overall, in general, I didn't even have to think about this question. This is my most read author, hands down. So then moving on to B, best sequel I've ever read. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge series person. I just don't, I guess, like, I shouldn't say series because I just talked about the Christina Lauren, like, Beautiful Bastard series, but I mean series, I guess, in the way of, you know, something kind of like Harry Potter, where it's like all the same characters that you're following, and it's like, you know, like that sort of thing. I'm not a huge like series person in that sense, like in traditional series sense, I guess. But yeah, so I don't even know what to say for this one, really. I guess I could say like the sequel I'm like most looking forward to reading, and I'm gonna start soon, is One of Us Is Next by Karen McManus. It's the sequel to One of Us Is Lying, and I really liked One of Us Is Lying, so I'm really excited for that next one. I'm just gonna go with One of Us Is Lying, or not One of Us Is Lying, sorry, One of Us Is Next, and I'll report back later maybe if it lived up to the hype and deserved my excitement. Okay, and then the question for C is, what book am I currently reading? And I am currently reading The Help by Catherine Stockett. I talked about my current reads in my past video, and I'm still reading this one. Maybe by the time this goes up, maybe I'll have it finished, but as of right now, this is what I am currently reading. I love it so much. It's amazing. everything I wanted it to be and more. So yeah, this is what I'm currently reading. D is drink of choice while reading, and normally it's just good old water. I don't really have like any other beverage that I reach for. I mean, I loved iced coffee, but I feel I'm more of a like late night reader, and I don't want to be drinking coffee late at night. Maybe I'll have like tea, but that's a new development because I've like started liking tea very recently. But yeah, either water or like diet Dr. Pepper if I'm feeling crazy. The next question is e-reader or physical book, and this is hard for me because I feel I love both. Like I love the convenience of an ebook because, you know, I can have so many books at one time on, you know, like my Kindle app, and I could like, you know, go from reading one thing to the other because like I've said, like I like to read multiple books at once, so I can kind of like flip between like which book I want, and that's easier with an ebook. Whereas like a physical book though, you just can't beat a physical book because the feel, the smell, just actually like doing the action of flipping a page and feeling like, okay, yep, I've accomplished something, and like finishing it. And I know a lot of the time when I finish a book, especially if it's a book that, you know, just ripped my heart out and touched my soul, I like to have the physical book because I can just like hold it. I know it's like maybe just me, but I don't know, I see the perks of both, and I understand both sides of the argument for people who like really love ebooks and people who really like physical books, but I'm kind of in the middle and I love both. So the next one is fictional character I would have actually dated in high school, and I had to think about this one for a while, and I think I didn't read either of these books while I was in high school. Not that that matters, I think, but it either would have been Rue from The Rest of the Story by Sarah Dessen, or probably John Ambrose McLaren from like To All the Boys I've Loved Before, like that series, because so my explanation for Rue, he's just very dependable, soft, and so sweet. And I feel like the same is like can be said for John Ambrose McLaren. Like he's so like you just think about it and you're like, oh, you know, like you make that face. They're so sweet and supportive, and they can communicate how they feel for the most part. And yeah, I don't know, I really like both of those characters. Okay, so next up is a book that I'm glad I gave it a chance, and this is gonna be probably very annoying because I'm a broken record at this point, but Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm glad I gave this book a chance because I don't know if I mentioned it in a previous video, but I did not think this book was fiction. Like I thought it was nonfiction, and I was kind of confused every time I saw it pop up on my timeline on Goodreads and stuff. Like everyone was talking about it, and I'm like, why is everyone going on and on about this like nonfiction memoir-y book about a band? You know, I just like, I mean, not that a book like that couldn't be amazing, but just like it wouldn't have been something I would have really picked up, I guess. But yeah, and then I finally got my head out of the sand and was like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I would like this. And sure enough, started reading it, and this was one of my top books of 2019 and books of all time. Like it's so good. So yeah, I am definitely glad that I gave this book a chance, and I'm gonna just leave it at that and stop talking about it because I've already talked about it a ton. So okay, next up is Hidden Gem. So we're at H, folks. Hidden Gem, All the Rage by Courtney Summers. I think everyone knows Courtney Summers probably from Sadie. She wrote that like a year or two ago, or it came out a year or two ago, and I absolutely loved it. Like totally understand the hype. It's one of my favorite books. So I read this after Sadie because after I read Sadie, I was like, I need to read everything Courtney Summers wrote. And So I think when I first read this, it was an ebook, like an ebook format, and I wanted to throw my computer across the room. This book deals with a lot of heavy topics, specifically like rape, sexual assault, and abuse, bullying, and so it's definitely not a light read by any means, and it definitely like hit very hard. And I don't think like anyone really talks about this book, and I think it does a great job at discussing some pretty heavy things and messed up things, and just kind of, I don't know, it shines a light on something that I think still has so much stigma and bad crap around it in our society. But definitely would recommend picking this up if you know, are interested in heavy, but just you know, that type of read. Like, it's just like that feeling. Sometimes I feel like I don't have the words. I just like, like that's just how it made me feel. But it was good. So, hey, so the next one is an important moment in my reading life. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I've had a lot of important moments. And I would say like important books in my life. But I feel like my most like striking like moment that wasn't like tied to a particular book was just, my Nana is like a huge reason why I love reading as much as I do. She just encouraged it a lot, and she would actually take me to the bookmobile that would come to my super small town, and they would have like a little like story time, and I would get to pick out books, and I could just get on this kind of dinky rundown bus that I honestly don't know how it ran. But it was amazing, and she would always bring me up to the bus, and it was just her and I, and it was kind of just like a bonding moment between her and I too. So yeah, I don't know, like that sticks out in my mind a lot. So the next one, we're on J, and it's the book I just finished, and I swear I'm not an annoying person, but it was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I finished the audiobook version of it, and it was amazing. I wrote my review on Goodreads, like a second review of it, and the audiobook wrecked me in like a whole new way, and I was like crying when I was listening to it. I would be on my way to work and I'd have like tears, and I was like, get it together, Shine. But so amazing. 12 out of 10 would recommend the audiobook. So yeah, that was my just finished. Next up is kinds of books I won't read, and I feel bad because I feel like I'm the type of person, like I'll try any book, you know. The kinds of books that I won't really try, or it'll be hard for me to like reach for them, are like sci-fi and fantasy. I'm not a huge like fan of that. I mean, I love how you can like escape into the world and everything like that, but I think a lot of books like that are usually in series, and I don't love reading series just because I like to read a bunch of like different stuff, and being like tied down to a series is just not something that's usually for me. So yeah, if I had to pick a like genre, I would say like sci-fi and fantasy. Yeah. So the longest book I have ever read, I was trying to like think hard, and because like in my head a book popped out and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's it, but then I was like, okay, is that really the book? And I was thinking, and I truly think it is, and it's Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Well, next one, we're on M. Major book hangover, and a book that gave me a huge hangover was All the Right Places by Jennifer Niven. This book, this beauty. I don't think I've ever cried this hard over a book. Yeah, no, I'm gonna say that. There's been some that have come close, but this one this one is different because of like how long it took me to like pick up another book after reading this. I don't know, like this was kind of like a weird one. I kind of picked it up on a whim. I had been wanting to read it. I honestly didn't know a ton like about it even. This book, it just, I don't know. It was one of those books I didn't know I needed until I read it, and it just hit really hard. And the author's note at the back, like the acknowledgements, just made it all just break my heart even more. I don't know, it just, something with this book clicked with me. And yeah, this one, it took me a long time to get over it. Next up, number of bookcases I own. This one's easy. I just have 2, which is sad, and I wish I had more and more books to like fill them. But yeah, as of right now, only 2. One book I've read multiple times, so this is kind of hard for me because I reread books a lot. Like that, I'm like a serial rereader. I don't know why, because I know some people hate rereading books and they think it's weird to reread books, but I don't know what that noise just was. But like I said, I think before, like I really like to reread books, and this may be like beating a dead horse, but I think my most reread book ever, is this actually true? Probably. It's probably Beautiful Player by Christina Lauren. I've reread this a lot of times. Or maybe The Hookup by Kristen Callahan. I have favorite parts in books, so I reread like my favorite parts in books a lot. But yeah, so like maybe this one or that one, or I'll Meet You There by Heather Demetrios. Yeah, those have kind of been like my top ones that I have been rereading lately, but yeah. Okay, preferred place to read. I feel like this kind of like depends, but I would say just like in my bed. I really like to, like in my bed, in my room, and it's like with specific lighting even. Like I have these like Christmas lights and then like one lamp, and that's like the perfect lighting for me. You know, glass of water, a little bowl of like chocolate chips. That is it right there. That's how I like to read. Okay, so this next one I feel like was hard for me because I have so many, but it's like a quote that inspires you / gives you the feels from a book you've read. I do have so many favorite quotes and things that I'm like, oh my god, like that was like a beautiful line or something like that, you know. But I think one of my favorite lines is from Perks of Being a Wallflower. Shocker. But it's like the last like little paragraph in Perks of Being a Wallflower. So if this does end up being my last letter, please believe that things are good with me, and even when they're not, they will be soon enough, and I will believe the same about you. Love always, Charlie. Okay, so next up, reading regret. So book that I regret reading. I feel like there's not many that books that I've read that I regret reading. The only one that's like really sticking out to me right now is Meet Cute by Helena Hunting. One, because like it just was disappointing that like going into it I thought it was going to be so great, and I had like hyped it up in my head, and then it was just like a letdown for many reasons. But oh god, I really just did not like that book. So I would say that one. I guess that one, yeah. So next up is a series I started that I need to finish. And again, I don't really read series very often, so this one's a little hard, but I think I'm gonna say like I finished the Percy Jackson series, but then there's, you know, like the Lost Heroes one after it. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with that series probably. Okay, so next up is 3 of my all-time favorite books, and I feel like I've already talked about a lot of them throughout this video, but we're just gonna bring them up again. Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. Always, this one will be one of my favorites. So I'm gonna say this one, and then oh, this is when it gets hard. I am going to say Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This book was just so mind-blowing and beautiful and poetic at times, and the imagery, the imagery in this book, wow, it's just so amazing. This one is hard too because it's hard to pick between this one and Daisy Jones and the Six, but I'm gonna go with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book wrecked me as well. I cried really hard at this one, and I just absolutely love this book. I thought it was insanely amazing. I think Evelyn is definitely problematic, but also strong-willed and determined and just admirable. Like, I don't know, I loved her a lot. So those are my top three. Yeah, so Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and that by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. So next up is Unapologetic Fangirl 4, and honestly, wow, I'm very like basic and typical, and I need to vary my reading, I suppose is what this means, because I think it's just like Christina Lauren. Like, anything they write, I hype it up, I tweet them, I retweet everything, I am on the Facebook group for them. Like, I love them. I think they have such a great way of writing characters and romance and love, and yeah, I don't know, I love them a lot. So I'm gonna say them, or I don't know, maybe like P.S. I Still Love You. No, I'm gonna stick with Christina Lauren. So next is Very Excited for This Release. So we're on B, and I would say it's My Dark Vanessa by, Kate Elizabeth Russell. I'm also excited for Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed, I think. Yeah, but definitely My Dark Vanessa is added to my 2020 like list of books that I need to pick up. So Worst Bookish Habit is next, and I feel like I have probably a lot, but the two that stand out the most for me are the fact that I read like way too many books at once. The other one is like my unwillingness to DNF a book. I have such a hard time not finishing books. Like, I don't know, I feel like a failure if I don't, even if I'm reading it and it's not something I'm really enjoying. I have such a hard time putting it down, and I don't know why, if it's some sort of like, I can't give up, like that sort of mentality. But yeah, I would say those two are my worst bookish habits. So next is X Marks the Spot, and it's a bit of like a challenge where I'm supposed to start at the top left of my bookshelf and count to 27, like pick the 27th book. And so I'm just gonna like count the books I have in front of me. Maybe I have 27, I don't know. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Oh, okay. So the 27th book I have by me is The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. I read this when I was in middle school, probably early high school, and I loved it. And The Sky is Everywhere is one of my favorite YA novels. It's very good. I loved it. But yeah, 27th book, X Marks the Spot. Next up is your latest book purchase, and it's actually two because I did book of the month, and so I got these two books, Ask Again Yes by Mary Beth Keane and The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. So these were both for the month of January for book of the month. Okay, we have made it to the end, Z, and this one is Z Snatcher book, so a book that I read that kept me up way late, and definitely The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I stayed up, I think, until 2 a.m. finishing this book, and I think I finished it in 2 days. I stayed up way too late, and it was on a night where, like, it was like a Thursday night and I had to be up at work the next morning. And so, but yeah, this one, I couldn't not finish it. I needed to get to the end. I needed to know what was happening. And I mean, I rarely ever regret staying up late to read a book. Like, even if I'm tired the next day, it's usually always worth it to me. But yeah, so definitely this one kept me up, and I tore through it, and it was amazing, as I've said before. Okay, we've made it. Thank you for sticking with me. If you've watched this whole thing through the whole A to Z tag, yeah, let me know below if you liked this video, if you have similar like feelings about certain books that I mentioned, or I will leave a link below to get to this tag if you want to do it just like yourself and see what your answers were. Let me know what some of them are below in the comments if you want. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.